Hello and welcome to the Human Design channel. I'm Karen McMullen and today we are exploring Gate 13, which is influencing us collectively this week of February 18th. So we'll get into that more, but I want to share that this is the beginning of an exciting new project with my friend Natalia, who is a human design analyst and who really has an in-depth understanding and interest in the transits. So if you don't know what transits are, basically the sky is divided into the 64 gates. And so every year we go on a journey through these 64 gates. And for about 5-6 days, one of the gates influences us. This week it is Gate 13. And this will be a collective theme for all of us. So Natalia and I are going to be sharing about each week's collective theme and an exploration of the gate. This week, Gate 13 begins the quarter of initiation. And if you don't know, there are basically 4 quarters in the year, and all of the incarnation crosses and all of the gates fall into one of these 4 quarters. So we're just beginning the quarter of initiation, which is basically what it sounds like. It's the beginning phase. And I'm excited to announce that today I am launching my new podcast, The Human Design Channel. I'm going to be calling my YouTube channel The Human Design Channel now as well, and it is a double entendre. So it's a channel, a physical channel where you can find information about human design and channeling, but it's also an expression of me, a person who loves human design and who also channels. So today I will also be sharing a channeled message for us inspired by Gate 13, the gate of the listener. So let's hear what Natalia had to share with us about Gate 13.
Hello and welcome to the start of our journey through the Rave Mandala. We'll travel through all the gates together with the sun, examining the frequency of each gate and the themes that they bring in our world. So today we start with Gate 13, and this is the gate of the listener. So who's actually listening? If you look at the body graph, you'll see that Gate 13 belongs to the G center, and G center is all about self and direction of self. This is all about the sense of movement in the world. So it is actually the self that is listening, and the way we listen and what we listen to and what kind of people we listen to determines our openness to other people. Gate 13th is an abstract gate. So when we talk about openness to each other in the collective field, we may see that it is all very emotional. The way how we perceive each other in the collective, the way how we recognize each other is very emotional. So the stories of other people, the secrets of other people, the experiences of other people, it is all very emotional. And it's interesting that what the not-self mind does is that it discriminates people emotionally based on what they say, based on what their experiences are, based on the way they behave. Because ultimately, we are speaking about G-center, and G-center is all about the behavior. And the polarity of Gate 13th is the 7th gate, the role of self, so which is all about the behavior.
At this point, Natalia lost me a little, and she explained to me later, basically on the Rave Mandala, when we're looking at any one gate, it's very much in correlation and direct relationship with the gate opposite of it on the mandala. So in this case, opposite gate 13 is gate 7, the army, the role of self in interaction. This is a leadership gate, part of the channel of the alpha, and it's all about collective leadership that is logical and elected, like being an elected leader because you have a plan for the collective. In contrast, gate 13 is also a part of a leadership channel, so it's a leadership gate, but this is collective, but it's abstract, so it's not logical. It's more about feeling. It's part of the whole circuit of the abstract circuit of the collective circuitry, so this is emotional versus logical circuitry in the collective is not emotional, it's logical. So that's why Natalia was saying that it's emotional, that listening is emotional.
So, yeah, it is really interesting to see how this gate, the role it plays in our openness to each other is incredible. If you look at the description of this gate in Reorganization, you will see that it says about universal ideas and values in the ordered structure, inspiring humanistic cooperation. So we are open to each other, being very influenced by the ideas we have, whether those people around us share our ideas or not, whether they share our values or not. And this is how we recognize who are here for us, who we can cooperate with. What else is important to understand about this gate is that it is a part of the channel of witness, the channel 1333. And the role of this gate is to listen to the stories, is to collect all the memories of mankind and store those memories in order to be able to move forward. Channel of the witness 1333 is the channel of is a leadership channel. So it is all about the collective leadership based on the past experiences, based on the previous stories of the mankind. And what else is important and really interesting to see, that if you look at the Wraith Mandala, you will see that gate 13 goes right after the gate 19, which is called the approach. So what gate 13 remembers is the previous experience of the 19th gate, the approach, what happens when people approach each other, what are the stories, whether they're successful or not, this approach, whether it is successful or not. Gate 13th collects all these stories, what happens when people do not listen to each other, when they do not cooperate with each other. What happens? 19th gate is a part of the channel 1949. It is where all the wars, all revolution, all bad things happen. And the 30th role is to recognize those ideas and those values that really add something that really beneficial for humanistic cooperation. So this is what they identify with.
I asked Natalia for further clarification about this part because basically she was also explaining that when you're looking at any one gate, it's helpful to know which gate comes before it in the mandala, because this is a story, it's a continuity. So the gate before gate 13 is gate 19. And because this gate has to do with revolution, she was explaining that if we're not really sensitive to other people's needs and we don't really listen to them, that's where conflict and wars are beginning. And if we look at the gate of the listener from that standpoint, our ability to really listen to people and genuinely hear and be sensitive to their needs, is avoiding war and creating the fellowship of man, creating harmonic interactions. And that is why it's called the fellowship of man. It's like our listening creates peace on earth.
Well, during this transit, this theme of a confident or a keeper of secrets may be present in the frequency around you. If you observe, you may recognize that you are kind of naturally open to the stories of others, or you are willing to share your experience with somebody who is ready to listen. And remember that the 30th gate is a projector gate, so it is important to recognize the right moment to share your stories and share your secrets and experiences so that it is accepted and really contributes to people cooperation.
Personally, I found it really interesting that this was the theme of the week, because this has totally been coming up as a theme in my life. And I feel deeply connected with this gate 13 because I have it in my chart, and I have really noticed in my life how, as a person with this gate, I attract people telling me their life story, telling me their deepest secrets, telling me their problems. And that's exactly what this gate is about. It's about someone who has these big ears and has an aura that kind of says, hey, you can confide in me. And then people do confide and they share their secrets. And then the person with gate 13 kind of walks around with this library inside of them of so many people's stories. And then at a certain point, they are here to share those stories, especially if they have the whole channel with gate 33. So then they end up becoming someone who can share stories that are really valuable to the collective. I have found this gate really draining at times because I don't always want to just be an ear to listen to people. And I've realized in a way that I've become protective of my ears, and I've also had the awareness that listening is very valuable. You can even listen to one of my channeled messages where I received this, and it was all about learning how to say no. And it came about as a result of an experience where someone came into my house for a week and ended up talking so much, and I just felt so drained by having my ears be used to listen so much, and I didn't say no. And it really was a learning lesson for me. Okay, so let's see what channeled message wants to come through for us this week. And just check in that you have an inner yes to receiving a channeled transmission. It's not just the words, it's also an energetic transmission that can create a shift. Be at peace, dear one, and listen within. Take the time to listen within. So much of your world is filled with noise and others' voices. So many voices. There are so many avenues for others to share their message with you, and so many ways that you make yourself available to receive and hear other people's messages, such as listening to this message right now. And this is all well and good and a part of the grand reorganization, a significant part of the grand reorganization is only made possible through this increased information sharing and increased expression and listening to each other. which inevitably expands and enriches consciousness. However, within that, it's also much more important that you take time for quiet and time to be apart from others' influence. Because if you don't do that, you will just be an echo of so many voices rather than an expression of your own truth and your own inner listening. And this, in Karen's example, is why she was so frustrated with listening to others, was because she was ignoring her own inner voice. Her own inner truth was saying, I've had enough of listening to someone else. I crave quiet. I crave to withdraw from listening. And so you only resent others speaking when you are not listening to yourself. It would be more accurate to say then, I don't want to listen to you. It would be more accurate to say, I desire to listen within, or it's time for me to listen within. So take time this week to listen within, to bathe in some quiet moments and receive your own inner voice, your own truth, your own knowing will always present itself once the outer noise has a chance to die down. And sometimes that takes a little while, and that while that it takes is worth it. Thank you for listening. Much love. And take care, and we will see you in the next video, in the next episode. And yeah, check me out on my new podcast, the Human Design Channel. It's available everywhere. And also, I just created a new resource available for you. It's called the Worth Workshop. It is a video I created as a part of my mastermind, and I just made it available to the public. Basically, what it does is it shows you where in your human design chart to find the indicators of self-worth and confidence, even if you have an undefined ego. So if you want to have more self-confidence and more self-worth and to know where you can find that in your chart, then definitely check out the Worth Workshop. I will link it below.